Well, hi everyone. Today I'm with Liselotte McQuien, and she is a licensed professional counselor who is working on emotional regulation issues, works a lot with mood disorders and personality disorders, especially using DBT skills. So welcome, Liselotte.
Hi, it's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So Liselotte, we've got
Absolutely.
10 more minutes. What's one thing you would
Right.
love for the world to know?
Yeah, one thing I'd love for the world to know, and I think I probably say this in almost every session, honestly, is awareness. Awareness being the key to your emotion regulation. I think it's going to be really hard to regulate our emotions and identify what our emotions are if we don't know what the emotion actually is, what the emotional state is like, what the emotional intensity is like as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like to kind of like, okay, what is the emotion we're dealing with and what's the intensity? I think that one gets overlooked quite a bit.
No, I agree. So cool. So Lisa, how did you discover this?
Yeah, so I really fell in love with DBT and using DBT skills with clients. DBT has several modules. So one of the modules is emotion regulation. Kind of at the core of all of the modules is mindfulness. So I really like to focus on how to practice mindfulness so that we can regulate our emotions. DBT really was intended and was designed for people with borderline personality disorder. But like I said, I honestly use it with everyone that walks in the door. Doesn't really matter what their diagnosis is, doesn't really matter what the issue is. And I use it in my life every day as well. And I think my loved ones don't always know I'm using it, but I find it very practical and I find it very useful. So I think it's great, if you want to learn more about your own emotions and the regulation, but also if you want to learn more about it for a loved one as well.
Nice. Yeah. Beautiful. So tell me, what's the first step someone would take in this?
So, kind of like I said, mindfulness. Mindfulness is kind of at the core of all of this. It is awareness, really. And like I was kind of saying, you can't really become aware of your emotional state if you don't have this mindfulness or this awareness implemented. So, I think it's a common misconception that mindfulness is meditation. And I think some people might judge that a little bit.
Yes.
And it can be meditation for sure, but it's not exclusively that. What mindfulness is being aware in the present moment without judgment. And like the task I often give clients to use is, go home and wash your dishes and only wash your dishes. And can you not, think about what happened at work, what you need to get from the grocery store, that kind of thing. But instead you kind of just focus on the dishes. What does it feel like on your hands? Is it hot or cold? Does it smell like anything? What are you observing with your eyes? Of course your mind is going to wander. That's normal. And I really try to make sure everyone understands that's very normal. That's part of this process. But can you bring it back to the moment? And it doesn't matter how many times you need to bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just practice that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. It's like the bringing it back is actually the skill to me
Yes.
as well. So
That's
cool.
like part of the practice. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when people go to this, what's the common obstacle they face?
It's judgment. It's definitely judgment. Mindfulness is being aware without judgment. And that's kind of why I really put a lot of emphasis on that when I'm trying to explain it to people. We judge all the time. Good or bad, like even that's a judgment, honestly. It's not saying like, oh, this dishwasher is gross, like it's, disgusting, it smells, or I don't know, something like that. And it's instead saying something like, I'm noticing that the dishwater has gone from clear to gray. There's a distinct difference in that. It's just observing. And I think, yeah, what I've noticed is that, people will try this, they'll go home after the session and they come back the next week and they're like, I suck at this.
Right.
And I'm like, well, you're judging. So yeah, it's, you're not practicing mindfulness. So, there's no expectation to succeed. There's no expectation to be perfect at it.
Yeah.
Like we said, like just bringing it back to that moment. And I think this really paves the way if you're able to do this, if you're able to kind of be aware without judgment, like how can I do that with my emotions as well? When I'm experiencing a really difficult emotion, maybe something like anger, it's not a pleasant one. So we like often try to push it away, or we're really mad at ourselves for feeling that. How can we approach that from a more mindful perspective, aka less judgment? And I mean, I think it's like if you can be more aware, if you can notice what's going on, you can be more informed, and then you can kind of choose how you react to it rather than let the emotion react on its own. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that exercise. I work with play therapy, so a lot of times it's like the kid will notice what's happening externally, like you're saying, with an object like dishes, like,
Yes.
oh, there's toy soldiers here, or there's this, or oh, the shark is
Yeah.
devouring the princess, or whatever tends to happen. And so, but we're just noticing
Yes.
and expanding like our ability to notice. Very cool. So how do I know if I'm doing it right?
So, I mean, like I said, mindfulness, I think a lot of people judge it or kind of like, oh, that's not my, like, how do I even do that? That doesn't work for me. I've tried breathing, like, it doesn't work. So I always say, it's practicing mindfulness. Really, that's like kind of the key. And it's practicing, if you're really trying to work on the regulation of your emotions, practicing in a neutral state of mind, ideally every day. But it only has to be a couple of minutes, really. It does not have to be a long time at all. I mean, I will tell people like it can be 30 seconds, but if you're intentional about it, that, I mean, I think is practicing mindfulness. I think the idea behind that is you practice it when you're just kind of feeling neutral, not one way or the other, so that in the moments of higher stress, you have this tool. You have this skill ready to go.
Yeah.
And you can try it. And even if you're not able to succeed, whatever that means, even if you're not able to do it in the moment itself, again, like with anger, and anger just kind of consumes you, something like that, and you're not able to catch yourself in that moment, that's okay. Can you do it after the fact? Because if you can do it after the fact, you've already made a
Right.
whole lot of progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like that repair, even with yourself.
Yes.
Like, yep, I didn't do it right, or whatever.
And it gives you a lot of information for the future as well. Like, okay, so when I'm at that intensity, I know I need to walk away. I know I need to like take a break. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you more about intensity, but I like what you said about just like taking it as information. Like, I think so we're so hard on ourselves, and then it's like, yeah, but that's okay. Next time, I'm going to take
Exactly.
this. And it is such a training. I was thinking about, there's a kiddo I'm working with that likes to run. So she's going to do a 5K. And I was like, man, and she's really athletically gifted. So I was like, that's something, she practices, and you practice. You might be gifted at it, but you practice. And then I was thinking, it's kind of silly, but it's like, I really like to make brownies. And so, but I'm good at it, but I make brownies a lot, which is how I get even better at it. So
yeah, of course.
So it's just like these little practice, but being able to make mistakes. And I just, yeah.
And I was going to say, like, I think the brownie example is great. You get better at it every time. Of course you do. That makes sense. The first time you do it, the third time you do it, you're not going to be as good as the 10th time you do it, or the 20th time you do it. And that makes a lot of sense when you're like, okay, yeah, I know how that goes. But when it comes to our own emotions, I think oftentimes we're like, man, I did it again.
Yeah.
I messed up again.
Yeah.
And we're so unforgiving. And it's like, well, this is a progress, like we're still working on it. Can I just give myself a little bit of grace here?
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's like kind of about the intensity, because yeah, it can be like, can you go back and like, start getting just more nuance and everything. So,
Yeah,
well, this has been so super helpful. Thank you so much. So I'm going to make sure to put your info in the
be great
description, and that's our time. So thank you.
Thank you so much. This is great.
Yeah. Wait. Oh, that's okay.